Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Scott Pilgrim. What's the name of the show? Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, episode 1. Didn't know all the episodes are out, although I should have expected because it's Netflix. We don't know. I'm a huge fan of the movie. I saw it when it came out when I was like a teenager, and it was awesome. It was like my favorite movie ever. So I love Scott Pilgrim. I don't know if this is going to be an adaptation of the same material or if it's going to be new stories or what it's going to be. Are you aware of that?
I thought that it was going to be the same thing, but I don't really know.
I have no idea. And it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll become apparent as we watch. But yeah, what?
I think it'll become apparent as we
What's
watch.
funny about that?
I don't know. It just sounded funny to me.
All right, you do the intro then. Why?
You know how I feel about doing the intro.
Leave a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoy our reaction to Scott Pilgrim. Let's go. Cool title card. I like the pixely little thing on the side. Is this an OP?
I guess so.
It's fully like a Japanese production then. I think we knew that. We knew it was gonna be like Japanese anime, but judging by the credits, it looks like it's mostly pretty much. Oh, Edgar Wright, producer. I think I knew that too, actually.
Oh.
I love that the fact they got all the cast back is so
yeah,
crazy.
I did hear that. That was kind of cool.
They even get like Brie Larson, even though like all these people. It's Chris Evans, like it's insane. Everybody was in this movie before, like just before or as their career was like taking off. Oh, we're in the Paths world. We're in the Paths, the
Oh,
interdimensional desert, and Scott is depressed as hell, alone.
I'm so alone.
You're not alone. Oh, there's the marks he made in the moon.
The girl of my dreams.
Like his head is like detaching from his body.
It's gonna be interesting to hear all the actors now that
Dream about that girl again.
they're all so much older.
But she has cool hair and wheels.
Pacific, when are you getting your own place?
Isn't this my place?
No, I let you crash here one time and you never left.
That's not how I remember it.
Could you at least get your own stuff?
I have stuff.
Some of my coffee?
I love the exact same
You're right. You don't.
setup there with all the.
Leave.
It's so crazy. They clearly must have like traced over the
Toronto, Canada, not too long ago.
like the movie and stuff. It looks like it's gonna be pretty much the same content, which is all right. 1, 2, 3, 4. New songs though. Look at Knives.
Wow, you might be the best band of all time.
We're not.
Maybe Knives has really good taste and knows things others don't.
Wouldn't count on it.
Want to do it again?
The like out of focus, it
depth of
really
field.
messes with my eyes.
Yeah, it's strange. I wonder if the scene structure is way different than the movie, obviously. But I wonder how different it is from the comic book.
What is she? Sort of my girlfriend?
Scott, your life is so interesting.
Thanks, Kim. Oh, that was sarcasm. Alright, you guys want to...
Even this house is like the layout of the house is the same as the movie. It's so cool. The detailed eyes. Get some liquid courage of, I guess, orange juice and Coke.
You know Sonic the Hedgehog? You probably know this, but in the early 90s, there were 2 different Sonic cartoons airing at the same time. And the same guy played Sonic in both shows. Isn't that wild? The same guy playing 2 different versions of the same guy? Maybe you didn't watch cartoons, or you're not.
That's funny, because Michael Cera is playing 2 different versions of the same guy
Okay.
right now.
I mostly watched older stuff when I was a kid. You know, Columbo reruns.
Reruns. Cool. Got it. Are you real?
Did you just ask me if I was real?
No, I was talking to someone else. Bye.
Yeah, the whole depth of field thing, I feel like I'm drunk.
It really is freaking me out.
Why are you here?
The best
There
one.
were no plus ones. Everyone here is someone I invited personally. My parties are curated.
So, do you know this one girl with hair like this?
Ramona Flowers.
Ramona.
She moved here after a bad breakup.
She's single?
Got a job delivering DVDs for Netflix.
DVDs for Netflix.
I'm like her only friend in town.
She needs friends.
I forbid you from dating her, Scott Pilgrim!
They want to advertise Amazon in this, so that's really interesting that because it's obviously set in the 2000s. The story wouldn't really make sense if it was set today.
No, Kel, thank you. You
So-
all like...
I'm using the World Wide Web. What should I rent?
Something starring a hot guy.
Is it going to be the movie?
I think I need the name of a hot guy.
Fine.
What if it's the Avengers or
Lucas
something?
Lee. That's just
Lucas
in the
Lee.
business.
Action Doctor. Let's hope there's a heaven. Thrilled to be here. Ooh, the game is over too.
It would be funny if they just showed up a bunch of copyright-free Chris Evans movies.
Are you waiting for the DVD? It's gonna take a bit.
How long could it take?
It's weird that the computer's on the opposite side of the room, like the door of the computer were kind of switched. Because remember that scene where yeah, can remember that scene where he like jumps out the window? It was like on the left side of the door,
Sonic guy?
looking in.
Are you Wallace Wells?
No, I'm Scott. Scott Pilgrim. Wallace is my cool gay roommate. He lets me use his credit card.
Oh, so like a sugar daddy situation.
Sugar what?
Aho!
Enjoy your DVD, Mr. Wells.
Wait. Are you the person
Mr.
in my
Wells.
dreams?
I thought we went over this already.
So you are. Isn't that weird?
It's not weird at all. There's just a really convenient subspace highway running through your head. 3 miles in 15 seconds. I don't know what that is in kilometers.
Space subways.
Because this is the pacing of the dialogue, like just
Why are you just standing
it
there?
feels very anime.
Dude, I'm waiting on you.
Like just little subtle things about it. It makes me
Nice out, eh?
want to see like Japanese viewers' reaction
What's with the X?
to it, you know?
Well, obviously one of us went to Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and one of us did not.
Is that a Sonic thing?
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
You're
So,
not the
why
girl
don't you
from my
try?
dreams after all.
You could go to.
I should have checked the weather. Guess you need that parking now.
It's just a little bit of snow. Did it snow where you came from?
I thought we were avoiding the past.
Where are you from? Not the past. That's a location.
Fine. Where are you from?
What? Where are you from?
Ah, then you're used to this kind of weather, right?
Egypt.
Yeah. Are you?
I grew up in the mountains, man.
Did you do a lot of skiing?
She grew up in the mountains. 4x3. Whoa. This is different.
Bring me Matthew Patel. The game has begun.
You ice
That's super creepy.
There should be a door around here.
To heaven. Are they gonna like almost have sex in this version? She has a cat?
So that star door was one of your space subways?
Sleepy time. What?
Just every time, it just keeps catching me off guard. When they make it all like blurry like that.
Are we gonna have a fan service scene where she's like in a bra in a second here?
Was that in the other thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
He like walks in on her when she's changing. Spoilers. This is gonna happen right now. Oh shit.
Dude, I'm changing.
Ah, sorry. I'm just cold and innocent. There you go. Now I can't see anything. That's better.
Does this help?
Oh,
I'm cold too.
You're gonna play that song? You're gonna have him playing the bass all magically? That song was so good.
Were you just gonna bring the blanket from your bed?
I guess.
Maybe we could both get under it while it's on the bed, since we're both cold.
It doesn't work as well when it's like this. Like, I don't know. It just, the whole sexual tension was way more, I guess the chemistry isn't there when they're animated. Other than this stuff, it's pretty much like scene for scene with like a little bit rearranged.
I did.
I just wanted to say thanks for creating this lead. What's your advice?
I didn't bring you here for flattery. Things have taken a turn. It seems our dear Ramona has a new suitor.
It's really happening? Who is he?
My interns compiled extensive research on the
Like
subject.
interns?
Lives in Toronto, Canada. Jobless, hopeless. He's in an indie band of subjective quality.
How long have they been dating?
They've been on one date, currently sleeping in her bed.
That bastard.
Indeed. But this is where it gets interesting. Scott Pilgrim is dating a high schooler.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say he's dating a high schooler?
Dating may be a strong. Our intel says they've never kissed, but they did hold hands once.
Does Ramona know?
He hasn't told her yet.
What's his fight experience?
He's been described as, quote, the best fighter in the province.
It's true.
Sounds like a challenge. Ramona's new guy's gonna wish he was never born. Because his brutal death is inevitable. Because of me. Because I'm gonna kill him. And then he'll be dead.
I hope Scott Pilgrim enjoys the final few days of his precious little life.
Oh, I love how he's in like this like Professor X, like the whatever that was that was in the X-Men.
I love that cat.
It's a very good cat.
My band has a show tonight at the Rocket, 9 p.m.
Aw.
You have a 9 p.m. The Rocket. I'll be there.
Aw. They didn't do the transition. It was like honest X's.
I never came home last night.
I did wonder how I got so lucky.
Well, actually,
I was hoping you died in the snowstorm, but unfortunately not.
And Knives is an angel. You need to end it.
What is he reading?
Fine, you're right. I'll do it. Blah blah blah. Something about fighting. League of Evil Exes. More like a League of Boring.
That was a cool shot to show you like the whole place before it turns into a giant battle.
Wow. So much about you. So how goes it?
Remember who that is?
I am 16 kinds of pumpkin.
What was her name?
Anna
Anna Kendrick.
That's how it goes.
Boy, sure seems like nobody delivered crushing news to you today.
Crushing? Like, oh, you poor thing. You're better than him. Just know that, okay? Better than who?
I have to go.
Huh?
Why are you stressing, Scott?
Steven's stressing.
Of course I'm stressing. The opening band pulled out. They flaked.
Crashing the Boys flaked?
I heard they were changing it to just Crash and Losing the Boys.
What?
Can't call a band Crash. Crash is a cult classic car crash sex film shot right here in Toronto.
Crash and the
They
Boys.
probably do.
Why did they cancel? I was looking forward to Crash and the Boys. Why did they cancel Crash and the Boys?
I don't remember them, so
One
I
way
don't
to
care that
find
they
out
got
if we
canceled.
suck, and that's by
This was the first movie that I showed Lindsay.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
She didn't like it. I don't know why. You would love it now. And you're
Didn't we
experiencing it for
rewatch
recent.
it? Like,
No. Nope.
did
Nope.
we watch a video on it? Because I swear
Yeah,
I saw
we
it
did. I think I
recently.
showed you maybe a video on it, or I talked about it at length in a rant. I appreciate they're using new songs. I hope that they work in Garbage Truck at some point, or Summertime or something. Badass.
Wait, hold on. Who are...
Aren't you stop Pilgrim?
Depends who's asking.
It is Matthew Patel, Ramona's first evil expert.
Cool.
It's said Ramona Flowers has 7 evil exes, each more powerful than the last, all of whom you must defeat in order to date her. It was a very detailed letter.
You knew about this?
Right. Yeah. I heard about it. I sort of thought it was a joke.
And you really dated this guy?
Yeah. In middle school. It was football season. For some reason, all the little jocks. Matthew Patel was the only non-white, non-jock boy in school. So we joined forces and took them all out. Nothing could beat Matthew's mystical powers combined with my brute strength. We only kissed once. And we were quits after something like a week and a half. He didn't even get truly evil until high school, and by that time he lived far, far away.
Mystical powers?
He's fuming.
Fair.
All fair in love and
War? I think it's war.
time to fight.
What was that joke? Is he just dumb? Is that a joke?
This.
Oh, they put him on the right side. They switched around the angle and put him on the right side because in manga, you read from right to left, so they put the main character that way a lot. That was quick. All the reactions. Wait, what? What just did?
I won?
What?
I won!
I love how it's loonies. That's so funny. We are Canadian, for those who are not aware. Wait, what is that cliffhanger? Scott loses? They just switched it up like that? What the hell?
That's actually the end of the show.
Could you imagine? It's just like you click on these, it's just like, haha. Like, that's it.
You like click on the next episode and nothing's there.
Yeah.
It was all just a huge meme.
That's crazy. Oh, JC staff? Oh, Wit Studio, JC staff. I bet a bunch of different studios worked on it. That's really interesting. What did you think of the first episode?
It's it's really interesting to watch this in a new form. I feel like I like it. Like it's interesting because I think that like in this version, Scott seems more likable. Like he seems a lot more normal, which I feel like kind of goes against like the whole idea, but also kind of not, because I feel like I just immediately like it better when I'm not just like at
How's
him
this
the entire
dweeb
time.
pulling all these girls?
And like it's just like it just makes him seem like just so off-putting. Like it's a great performance in the original, but it's just like you're just like
You don't even remember the original.
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
When did we rewatch it? I don't remember
I
rewatching it.
swear we did recently because I remember it very vividly. And I didn't mind it as much the second time around.
Did we rewatch it in our old bedroom when we moved the TV into the bedroom?
I think so.
I thought we hadn't rewatched it. I
We
thought we
did.
were going to.
I'm pretty sure we did rewatch it.
I thought we were going to rewatch it, but we never did, but maybe we did.
I'm pretty sure we did because I remember seeing it the second time and like liking it more the second time.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, so you like this version more.
I do in some ways, but also like I'm interested to see like where it's gonna go, because in this he just seems so like weird, but like in so much more of a normal way. Like he just seems like normal but awkward.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like I don't even really know how to describe it.
I
but
know what
you
you
know
mean. I know what you mean, because I haven't read the comic books. I know a little bit about them, but not nearly that much. I should really read them, but Michael Cera, I think, put a lot more personality into the live action performance and it kind of changed the character just a little bit. And I think the idea of Scott is that he's kind of just like, he's kind of a little bit of a womanizer, ladies man guy, and that comes through like in Michael Cera's portrayal of the character, but it comes through a lot more just like when you with this version of the character. Like when it's coming through Michael Cera, he doesn't seem like a ladies man type guy. He seems like a way more nerdy guy. So the idea that he's like a womanizer, always like you learn that he cheated on all of his last girlfriends, or like he just has been kind of a dickhead in all of his past relationships, and he's just kind of a loser, but he's also like, you know, a lovable loser. That's why he keeps getting away with it, and that's like what his arc is, like trying to go from being that kind of guy to being an actual good guy and like a good boyfriend. And I feel like the starting point of him actually being somebody, like I'm not saying Michael Cera is like ugly or something, or like not he's not the type of guy that Scott is. You know, does that make sense? Am I making sense with that? Like, I don't get me wrong, his performance is great. Like I said, the movie is like one of my favorites ever. It's just that I think that Michael Cera is not as he's not as much of like an anime self-insert Kirito protagonist, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like this, like that is more of like that is the character, and he's less relatable than like this version, which seems to be a little bit easier
I think Michael Cera Scott is way more relatable than this guy. But
I guess what I'm saying is like this seems more like a self-insert protagonist that you want to be this guy, but he's like still nerdy and awkward, so it's not like completely like he's not like some Chad.
I guess what it actually is, here's what it is Michael Cera comes off as a way nicer person, and Scott is like an asshole. Like his whole thing is that he's an asshole, and he acts like it, like Michael Cera acts like it, but Michael Cera comes across as way kinder and nicer. But this version of Scott is just a tinge more like inconsiderate in just the way that he acts, and just a lot less sort of I feel like the original Scott, even though he didn't act like it, I just feel like some of Michael Cera, he's more soft spoken, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that Scott is, I guess. I think that's a big part of it, and I don't know how big of a part it is. Maybe I'm just crazy, but anyway, I like this. It feels like and again, I'm gonna say that it feels like they're borrowing a lot from the show, or from the movie, but I haven't read the comics, so I don't know how true that is. I don't know how much the sets in the movie were based off of the comic books, and like how accurate that was, because so much of the movie was very attentive to like staying true to the source material. I know that for sure, like with the way that they just the way they presented the presentation was very much was very unique in that like it was really trying to capture the spirit of the original work, and that was, you know, at the time adaptations in Hollywood were very like, oh, how do we make this as accessible to the broadest audience as possible? This is like the first movie that was like, oh, we're for like gamers, and we're for like nerdy people. There wasn't a lot of stuff like that back then. So, you know, I don't know how much like the movie is close to the comic books, and this is also closer to the comic books than it is to the movie, or if there is like some sort of weird like mishmash together of both the original adaptation and the original comic book. I like these scenes with Gideon a lot, but what I'm talking about with the adaptation is the scenes, like the flow of the scenes is really weird, and I don't know why. Like something about the ambient sound or something. I'm trying to figure out like what exactly is like when they're talking. Like
Do you think
I don't
it's
know
just
what it is.
Like it's very abrupt.
It's not abrupt enough. Like again, I'm trying not to be too biased by my experience with the movie, because I love the movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and the way the dialogue worked, how fast paced everything was, how snappy everything is, and how it worked with the editing, and the scenes were like built around the way that people talk, and scene transitions were built around different pieces of dialogue and stuff like that. And it was very clever with the way that it all the flow happened. So I'm probably just biased based on my love for the movie. But in this, there's something about the way, like, I don't know if it's because it's like being fan servicey or something, and it's like leaving breaks in the dialogue for people to like be, you know, laughing, like laughter breaks in between dialogue or something. But like, I just want to play like just a random spot, like right here, just this transition scene, and then he walks in. it just feels so, it feels more flat, I think, which makes sense because it's literally 2D, but in general it feels a lot more flat. And the reason why the movie, I think, was so expressive in the presentation was because it was live action, because it was a movie length, so everything moved really fast out of necessity, also because there's like a bunch of different plot lines that they have to speed through. So out of necessity, it feels like the movie really crunched things down, and maybe this is just more like what the comic book is like. It's a lot less frantic and a lot less compressed, and that's why maybe I'm feeling off guard, because I'm just not used to what the story was actually like originally. That's probably most likely, but something about the way that the dialogue happens, and also there's the language barrier, not because the actors are reading a direct version, adapted version of the screenplay that was directly adapted probably from the comic book, but the animators and the people who are actually putting the visuals together are Japanese, so maybe there's some weird disconnect there with the like how they interpret the voice lines or how they interpret the speech, to where it's just it's a little bit more open in some areas. This feels like kind of nitpicky, but it's something that this feeling of there being like just a little bit too much space in between things, or a little bit too much like something. There's like a little bit. It's just the flow is like just a little bit off, and I felt that consistently through the whole thing. And it's not off like totally breaking, but it's just, to me, it was just a little bit off. Again, that might just be my bias from loving the movie. So I'm not, who knows what the truth is, but that's just my perception of it. I think, and it's also just the first episode, and they're trying to cram in, or they're trying to like get through a lot of like the setup of who Scott is, who Ramona is, get their relationship together, get the plot moving kind of. But I don't know. I think that it will have a better idea of like, all the things that I mean with like the pacing or whatever as the series goes on, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really have any of those problems with the like the pacing at all. I didn't really notice anything weird about that. In fact, I kind of I liked it, and I liked like compared to other, like, obviously this is a kind of a weird thing because it's like an anime, but it has the art style of like a typical like Western cartoon, like a Gravity Falls, whatever, any of those other Steven Universe, like that like type of look to it.
Yeah.
But then it's also based off like comics, but also a movie.
Yes.
So it has like influences coming at it from all sides, and I actually really like the combination of it, because to me it feels like I'm watching a live action movie but with like certain elements of anime, and then with an art style that I'm not usually typically a huge fan of, but I think also like it doesn't have because of like all the influences, it doesn't have some of the things that and like these things aren't in the same art style, but like Vox Machina and Invincible are like two things that we've watched that are animated, like Western animations, and this doesn't have any of the things that I like don't like about those.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like kind of because it's a combination of so many things, I feel like it actually really works and is able to capture some of the things like in the movie, especially the first time I watched it, and obviously like you liked about it that it was like, it had like all the game elements and stuff like that, but I feel like in here, because it's animated, like in the moment when Ramona turns around and she has like the big anime eyes and all these colors and stuff, and when she like pulls him through the like everything, because it's all animated, you can like go a little bit bigger and things are less abrupt when it like goes into that like fantastical like gamified kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. And what I also really like is like all the voice acting is really good, obviously because they were the original characters as well. But it all just like really suits. I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
To me, the voice acting was really inconsistent. Personally, it's because these characters, like the actors, are obviously much older than they were when they originally played the characters. It was probably, they were making the movies, I think, in 2009, so it's been like 14 years. Michael Cera, I think, sounds a little bit older at times. I think but that's a small thing. I think if you weren't aware of all that shit, I don't think you'd notice. The thing is, I could be wrong, but I'm going out on a limb and speculating that they weren't all like the lines where people are acting together weren't recorded in the same session. It seems like they recorded each line individually, like, oh, this is Michael's day, this is fucking Mary's day, whatever. And it was stitched together, and I'm guessing, I could be completely wrong, and it maybe they were all together in the recording booth, and I'm just dumb and wrong. But it sounds to me like that's what happened. Like they recorded all the lines separately, because there's a lot of actors. Some of them are huge, and scheduling conflicts can be a big deal when you're dealing with people of like a larger scale. Mm-hmm. And not all of them are voice actors based on what I know about them, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an expert in every single one of the actors in this. But one of the benefits to not dubbing something that's already Japanese, let's say, is that you have the freedom, and because they would probably send all the voice lines over, unless this was a weird thing where they animated it to the Japanese voice actors and then they dubbed over it in English.
Yeah.
Or there was there was a script writing process where like they wrote the Japanese script and then had time to like adapt both of them and kind of mesh a Japanese version and an English version. I don't know which came first in this. In Cyberpunk, I think the English version came first, but I'm actually not 100% sure. Because I feel like this, rather than Invincible and Vox Machina as an example, I feel like Cyberpunk is probably a better example.
Yeah.
Of a Western world property being adapted by a Japanese studio and then having like a strong English cast sort of being sort of the main thing, quote unquote. I don't know. Not all of the voice acting was bad. It was just a lot of it, I think Scott's jokes as well. Like when I talk about like there being too much space or there being like things kind of hanging around. I think also because this is a Japanese production, that might have influenced the way that dialogue was sort of put on screen, especially in like the jokey sort of areas. I feel like there's a lot of like tropey things in anime dialogue and in that like, oh, that's embarrassing, like kind of off to the side or whatever. Or like when Ramona, one big one that stuck out was when Ramona was on the swing and she was like, she made like that cutesy little kissy face or whatever and like said something.
I should have checked the weather. Guess you need that parka now.
Like this is a very anime type thing, and she didn't do in her voice what the character was doing here.
Yeah.
So there's weird things with the voice acting. I'll have to know more about it, with like how it matches up, how it's being used. I don't know. It's a complex thing, and it's so far not a huge deal or anything. It's not, again, none of these things that I'm mentioning are like show breaking. This is just like trying to get into how the sausage was made, I guess. So far, overall, I think I really like the first episode. My favorite part by far was the stuff that I wasn't expecting. So, like, was Scott seemingly losing the first time? And the stuff with Gideon, I wonder if that was in the comics at this point, but it's just so funny. This felt very, like, he's even doing the Gendo Ikari from Evangelion, like, pose and everything with the glasses reflecting. Like, it's there's clearly some Evangelion influence there. It's funny. I like it. All the stuff that was like new or wasn't, like even the stuff with after the thing, I was expecting there's a transition after he stays over at Ramona's and he's just like, oh, we're going to see a show. They're like, blah, 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 come to see your show. Okay, you're coming. It's at the Rock, and then it cuts in. It's like the Rocket, and it's like the sign on the side of the building, and it's again that like creative transition in the movie. And I was like, oh, I was hoping that happened. But then they had this whole thing where he's like walking down the street, and then there's like honest exes and what I forget.
It said it happens only once in your lifetime, sometimes never.
Yeah, so it's all like foreshadowing on the side of the building and everything, and it's funny. Yeah, and maybe like the weird little. It feels like they were trying to do they had a lot of things in mind, and like something about the production like didn't quite match up. They like didn't quite perfectly lock into place what they were trying to do, like with references to like anime or references to the movie or references to or whatever, like mismatching or like stuff like that, like little small things that didn't quite fully match up, but you can see where they were kind of going with it. I feel like maybe that will also kind of iron itself out as the production goes forward, but it's also not that big of a deal. Again, I'm only noticing a lot of these like little tiny things in there because I've seen the movie probably 30 times. Like I love that movie. So yeah.
I will say the one thing that I hated was that like
the depth of field effect. It's like all doubled.
I honestly do not like it at all. I found it so distracting. Like it's something about it just like made me feel almost motion sick.
Yeah.
Like it was very weird, especially when they like in the scene where she put the 2T down and then like the back one was out of focus and then it switched and it was just like like I don't know, something about it I just
right here.
Yeah.
Oh. I wonder what the deal is with that effect.
I find it so unnecessary because I don't know, it's just because we watch so much anime, and at the same time, like in the scenes in this that weren't doing that, like it just looked great.
I just wonder what the thought process was behind it, because it's very disorienting to try and focus on any one particular thing. And
like
the point is that it draws your focus, but it's not really out of focus. It's like doubled. Like it maybe if you like analyze the way that the human eye works and you could somehow look at your peripheral vision directly, it might look somewhat like that, like all doubled and weirdly. But like in other, it's not a new thing to use depth of field in animation, and it's not this weird doubled thing. It's they put a Gaussian blur over it.
But it is very strange. I think it's like it's weird because it's almost more imitating like a camera focus, like how stuff looks a little bit more like that than what they typically do in other anime when things are out of focus, I guess.
Oh, you're talking about like the bokeh, like with lights when light sources are out of focus, and that like there's those circles in the background that kind of like
just
stuff like that
when they do I don't know, it's just
it's just a weird choice because it's not a groundbreaking
yeah.
technique to do that in animation.
I see that they were like probably trying to go for like a very specific look and make it a thing, but I don't think that should be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry if that was your idea.
I wonder what the story is behind using that effect. It's definitely strange.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was like easier, like you could just like select that thing and then like they like made like a thing that just like automatically like duplicated like them to either side, and then we're just gonna use this now. I don't know.
What is this robot? What the hell is this robot?
I noticed that before.
You did?
As well.
I didn't notice that robot. Knives is so cute in this version. She's so cute. It's so funny. I mean, she was cute in the live action too, but just like her eyes and everything, she just looks so, I don't know, funny with her ears sticking out too. It's just something about it so cute and funny. But yeah, like here, for example, they use depth. They create a sort of depth in the frame by having all these like silhouetted figures in the far background and having less detail on the characters behind the main characters, which are here. But then they still do this weird little doubling effect, and usually they just put an actual blur on stuff like that if they want it to be out of focus. It's just a weird, strange choice, and I bet that there's some sort of story behind it. There's some person who that's like there's some background animator or some editor where that's a thing. Maybe it was even a last minute decision.
Because like here, like it's.
Like in the editing process when they were cutting everything together, maybe they're like, I feel like it works better if we create some depth of field, and then they put that effect as like the standardized how they create depth of field. Here it's like a little bit better, but it's still kind of weird.
Yeah, look at that girl like in the very back though. She's like,
oh yeah,
fucked right up. And that person's arm. It's like the farther in the distance you go, the more additions of that item there are.
Yeah. Because it looks, well, it's weird because they, like, if you're drawing stuff this far in the background, like, if you're planning out a production, and you're like, we have, like, a depth of field, like, it's looking at the storyboard. It's like, you're drawing the storyboard, and you're, like, labeling everything, and then you hand it off to people, and you're, like, kind of discussing everything. It's like, okay, I want to create, like, a depth of field thing here, and then, you then wouldn't say, after saying, oh, this is all going to be out of focus back here, to create kind of, like, an effect, you wouldn't tell them to then perfectly draw
Yeah.
every detail on those
And then
characters
mess
in the
it
back,
up after
which
you
makes
just-
me think that it's probably an editing thing. It's probably a later in the process, like once everything was already complete. I feel like it would be, the show would look better if we had this depth of field effect on everything. Also, maybe because they're like, I think you mentioned like because they're kind of like emulating a movie. Maybe they're like trying to emulate a camera effect because they know that most of the people who are watching this and who are invested in this have at least seen the movie or are aware of the movie.
Yeah, well, that's what I was comparing with that like teacup example. The way that it shifts from one to the other is like very like just like shifting the focus on the camera. Which, like, I feel like, I don't know, like you don't usually like see that in anime.
Yeah, you do.
I guess
you do.
I guess you do. I don't know.
You definitely do. It's just it's just a weird effect. It's that simple, and the story behind it is interesting. I'm sure. I'm tempted to think that it's probably an editing thing, but again, because with the teacup example is interesting because this was clearly the shot, you know what I mean? Like they probably animated it like this to have this effect in planning it when they were animating it, which makes it weird why they would use this version of the depth of field effect, and also why they would draw stuff that characters, not just background art, but like characters who are pasted over the background art in the background to create a sense of depth, to draw them with full detail and then put a blur effect over them. It's just not economous animation, so it makes me think that there might have been some weird thing. But then the fact that this was
is what
planned
makes
to
me
be
feel like
that,
it's a deliberate style choice of
Exactly.
like I want it to look like this.
Yeah, so it's confusing. I don't know what the deal is, but whatever. There's a lot of time spent on it, but it's something that we're probably gonna have to get used to because I think it's the whole show is gonna be like that. On aside, like not or with all the talk about the animation and stuff, I feel like they have a very consistent level of quality going through. There was not a point where I was like, they're clearly saving budget on this, and it is the first episode, which even it classically in Japanese, in anime in general, and in all animation, if you have like your pilot episode, your debut episode, you're gonna put a significant amount more budget into that to get people hooked, and then you can kind of make the sacrifices midway, sort of episode 4 or 5,
and then
in
come
the
back
series.
strong,
and then come back for the finale.
Yeah.
But so it's not a great judge of whether or not the quality is going to be consistent over the whole thing. But as far as this whole episode, I feel like there was not a point where I was like, oh, this is like I don't know what they were thinking there. Other as far as time clearly put into the quality of different cuts of animation or different shots.
See, this scene doesn't have it. See, these people are just drawn with less detail.
Well, not every shot needs depth of field.
Yeah, it's
just like how in real life you don't shoot every scene with the same lens or the same focal length. They have like a wide angle thing, so then it's not going to be this. It's not going to have the same depth of field effect. Yeah.
I like that like shot of all the X's. It
was
reminded
cool.
me of that shot of all the Titans that we were just saw earlier today, with like the red and how they're all like stacked up like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it somewhere over here.
Right there.
Yeah. Very similar. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's check out the next one. Leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you later. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye-bye.